Hi, and welcome to Stupid Ancient History with Midgley,
Taylor,
and James.
our special science toolboy guest. As always, we're wearing togas, our kylixes are full, and we're eating olives. And today we're going to look at Cleopatra's burgeoning relationship with the Second Triumvirate. So before we carry on, we should make the note that James, especially for the occasion, has come dressed as Cleopatra.
I mean, I'm the only one who's got the hips for it, to be honest.
I mean, you're looking good, James. It's a nice and breezy outfit you've got.
It's a warm day. It's picked the right one for it.
And I'm particularly impressed that you seem to have shaved your legs just for the occasion, just that extra bit of authenticity.
shame about the underarms.
Yeah, I wasn't going to mention that. So anyway, let's carry on.
So, thinking about where we left off last time, the last podcast we were talking about the fact that Cleopatra had gone back to Egypt after Caesar had been murdered. In Rome, Caesar's death had left a significant power vacuum. So the senators, obviously some of them were happy about his death, others were not so happy and they wanted revenge. And then when in a bold move, Caesar's supporters take power with the backing of key parts of the army in order to try and hunt down the people that were responsible for Caesar's murder. The only issue is we need to think about who is going to take Caesar's place and maybe start up a new relationship with Cleopatra.
Saucy. So, after Caesar's death, into this vacuum come two key figures, two key supporters of his, who both thought they should have been the next leader, but neither is strong enough to take his position up outright. The first one is Octavian. He's Caesar's named heir, his nephew. He's quite young, he's quite inexperienced, but he's certainly well known in Rome, and he has the support of his vastly wealthy family and some of the more intellectuals within Rome's society. The other guy who thinks he should take over is Mark Antony. Why wouldn't he? He's been Caesar's right-hand man for a long time. He's been his military ally. He's experienced throughout all of Caesar's campaigns in Gaul. He's a former consul. He's a former tribune of the plebs. He thinks he should be the next de facto ruler. They both seem to have reasonably good claims, but neither is strong enough outright, and neither wants to, at this point, challenge the other. So they come to an agreement, and it's a great agreement, but for not very long. So they form what's called the Second Triumvirate. This is where military and political power is held within the confines of three men. There'd been a first triumvirate previously with Caesar, Pompey, and Mark Antony. Yeah. They're reinstalling the idea, but this is not an elected triumvirate. They are effectively starting a coup. They are taking power with the sole purpose of hunting down Caesar's murderers. But to make sure it doesn't get too tense and too argumentative, they need a third person to make the third man.
Round things out.
Yeah, round things out, adjudicate an agreement. So they go to a guy called Marcus Aemilius Lepidus. He becomes the third triumvirate. We know he's a former ally of Caesar's, he's been a loyal supporter for a lot of years, and he has command of an army, which is always helpful if you're trying to overthrow a government. You do it if that guy's got an army, he'll do. And the grand plan is that these three men would share power, rule Rome, punish Caesar's murderers, and bring about stability. And one thing you'll hear later on is this idea of restoring the Roman Republic. That's what these three guys are saying they're going to do. Now, Rome's massive at this time, so they decide to divide the empire into three chunks to make it easier to manage. So Octavian takes the west of the Roman Empire. He's got some unfinished business there with some pirates who kidnapped him. He's not too keen on them. So he's going to take care of the west. Mark Antony, with his military background, takes the east, because the Parthians in the former Persian Empire, they're kicking off, and he's seen as the right person to deal with this. And Lepidus gets Africa. Yeah.
So we need to think about what kind of impact did all of this have on Cleopatra, and why did she really care what was happening. So the first reason that it's significant is that she still needs the support of a powerful Roman patron, because obviously Julius Caesar is now out of the picture, he's 6 foot under. And Caesar's support was really beneficial, so she needs to think about who she wants to take over from him. She needs to know which horse to back, basically.
But I mean, not just within Egypt, Cleopatra, we can see, is clearly ambitious. While she was with Caesar and with that relationship, she had a taste of power beyond Egypt. If you're the woman sleeping with the most powerful man on the planet, you're going to get used to getting things a certain way. So certainly she's very unlikely that she will want to give up that route into power. And if she can create basically a Caesar Mark II and equally convince him, shall we say, then she will put herself in a much, much stronger position, and certainly any issues of brother husbands and rebellion in Egypt not going to be a problem.
Is she likely to go back to the same bag of tricks she was using before?
You would imagine so. If it worked well once, let's try it again. So the big decision Cleopatra has to make is, who is she going to ally with? Who's she going to back? So luckily you're dressed as Cleopatra, James. Today you're going to have to decide which of these three men is going to do it for you.
I'm looking forward to this.
He really is. So our first rival for Cleopatra's affections is Octavian.
So Octavian in the beginning is a little bit of a nerd, but that's alright because we love nerds, we know that. But I think that for her, she probably would see him as being someone who's quite easy to manipulate because he's very young, he's not got a lot of experience.
How old is he at this point? Is he of an age with brother husband?
He's older than brother husband.
He's older than brother husband, but not that old.
He's young and untested, shall we say.
Yeah. So I think for her, he's someone that she probably thinks, yeah, I'll be able to kind of get on that.
Although
I think you want to think about that.
he was notoriously absent from Rome's orgy scenes as a young man.
Yeah. But even so, there you go, maybe he was being locked in the house and he wanted to get out, so she didn't even need a carpet to be able to get on his good side. So there's that, but then there's also the fact of, even though at that point in time he's not got all of the power and everything, if you think about in the future and what he actually becomes, he's definitely the better one to back. He becomes the first emperor of Rome, the most powerful person within Rome, who...
So she didn't know this at the time.
She didn't know that at the time.
Hindsight's
She didn't know that
2020.
at the time, but I just think that he was from a really wealthy family. He's obviously got the family connection with Caesar. He's someone who comes across as being very intelligent, if we believe what the sources say about him, although they are obviously all very one-sided. And he's also someone that she could probably manipulate, but she's got that link with Caesar there, and he's also got a lot of money. And
Can you
then,
imagine that as a chat line? Hi Octavian, I used to do your uncle.
I mean, she's married to a brother. She probably doesn't bother.
I don't think
Keeps
that would
it
be
in
an
the family.
issue.
Yeah.
Although saying that though, Octavian, one thing you can say Octavian is, this guy is sneaky. This guy will set you up
Yeah.
to fall without you even knowing. You think you'll be pulling a scam on Octavian, and it turns out he's been scamming you all along, and he does this very, very well
Yeah.
later on. Saying he's young and inexperienced, he is a crafty wee bugger.
He is, but he's also very intelligent, like I say, so that would be one thing that might interest her. And we can split him up into, like we were saying, three kind of distinct stages. He becomes, after this point, quite brutal. He's someone that gets rid of all of his enemies in some quite horrible ways, doesn't really show a lot of remorse for what he does. So he's also someone who is very power hungry. So they've got that in common. They both want to be kind of top dog.
It could be the ultimate power couple.
Yeah, and they're both willing to use kind of manipulation and quite sneaky, underhand, brutal tactics to get what they want.
Ah, so she sees a kindred spirit in
Possibly.
his machinations. So, our next contestant is on the complete opposite end of the spectrum to Octavian. This is Mark Antony.
Ooh.
Boo
Not a
yourself.
fan.
She is really. So Mark Antony is probably more in Cleopatra's wheelhouse than Octavian. He certainly inherits Caesar's military prowess and power. He's been Caesar's right-hand man throughout the Gallic campaigns. The army know him, they respect him. He's militarily very, very strong. Of the three, he's probably the most secure in that sense. He is the soldier, whereas Octavian is the intellectual, the politician. Mark Antony also takes over the east of the empire, which includes Egypt. He takes the east because he's got to sort out the Parthians, as we mentioned before. James looks like he's about to ask a question.
No, it's fine.
Okay, so he takes over the east, so he's nearby. The other thing that really plays to Cleopatra's raison d'etre, shall we say, is Mark Antony is a notorious good time guy. He likes drinking, he likes women. In terms of how she works her political influence, Mark Antony is certainly going to be a much easier shout than nerdy, awkward, bookish Octavian, who, if we're to believe some sources, actually shies away from women as a young man in an awkward corner reading his books. Whereas Mark Antony is going to be straight in there. If she's looking at seduction as a method of manipulation, he would be an obvious choice.
So,
and also, if it comes down to a fist fight, Mark Antony is easily going to be.
So our
Octavian.
options are basically bookish nerd, louty soldier.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, and what about Lepidus?
What about Lepidus?
Hang on, before we start talking about Lepidus, who...
No one ever wants to get to Lepidus.
He's Mr. Beige, that's why no one wants to talk about Lepidus. Nothing to say. There are some things that we need to say about Mark Antony. He is, I'm sorry, but an alcoholic hoe bag.
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
We don't hold back.
if we're thinking about Cleopatra, then if she gets with Mark Antony, he's probably going to get very bored very quickly and move on to the next thing that he wants to sleep with. Whether that's something that moves, it's a vegetable, it's something that doesn't move, whatever.
Just
He's not
for
bothered.
for academic probity, there are no sources that suggested Mark Antony was sleeping with vegetables.
So he's going to probably want to move on to the next thing.
Was
He's
he
going
that
to get
much
quite
of a-
bored.
Was he that much of a hoe bag? Would he
Yes.
get bored of her quickly?
Yeah, so he's linked to the god of wine and good times, isn't it?
Yeah,
So-
he spends a lot of time in Greece as the living Bacchus.
Yeah, so he refers to himself as the new Dionysus as well, which is the same god, but the
The
Roman.
Greek version of
Yeah.
Wow.
ecstatic dancing. And
Yeah.
He's a good time guy.
So that's his kind of selling point, but that's probably going to get quite old quite quick. And he is married, so he has already got a Roman wife, and we know what people in Rome thought about that last time when some foreign Egyptian woman started messing about with a married Roman man.
To be fair, with Mark Antony, they'll probably just go, yeah, there we go again.
None of them seem that committed to their marriages, I'll be honest.
They're not. Maybe they had a lockdown.
But do you know who would be committed to their marriage? Lepidus. Let's talk about Lepidus. Lepidus is beige. He is the quintessential third wheel. He's basically there to
Make up the numbers.
Make up the numbers. He's meat in the room. Even Cleopatra realises this early on. His only role in the triumvirate, the only reason he's there, is because he has an army,
Right,
and
okay.
then he has to lend that to one of the other two either. And everyone knows that when this whole thing blows over, it's not Lepidus who's going to be wearing the crown. So yeah, he's your three-legged donkey in this horse race. If the odds are against him, he's even against him. He's sat in Africa, which is the least developed part
Basically
of,
just a swamp.
and a desert. He's
Yeah.
sat in a desert going, anyone there? So Lepidus, yeah, he's not in the running.
No, you've not really sold him to me as a
Well, I think
prospect.
we've done a good job of selling him. Did we tell you he's got an army?
You mentioned it.
Yeah, that's
That's
all
about
he's,
it.
that's all he's got going for him.
I'm still up for this triumvirate idea. Poor Lepidus.
So there you go, James. Those are your three options: Octavian, the bookworm; Mark Antony, the lads guy; and Lepidus.
Okay,
So, as Cleopatra, as you are so beautifully presented,
thank you.
who are you going to pick?
I think Funtime Anthony.
Funtime Anthony. Yeah.
He sounds like he'd be a good laugh.
Boo.
Oh, Taylor's not happy with Funtime Anthony.
I just think you're not thinking long term. I don't think you're making very queenly judgments.
To be fair,
Just
the last
about the here and
relationship
now.
she had didn't last very long.
Are you
And
questioning
the
my
one before
regal
that-
prowess?
I am, yeah. I think you just, it's more than just about the party. Got to think about long term.
Well, it better be. Octavian sounds like right snore. You're not having any fun with him, are you?
No, he changes. He said he starts murdering people. He becomes really
At this point, is he interesting though?
He's becoming interesting.
He's becoming interesting, and you've got to think about how much power he's going to have. He's going to be in control of everything, and he's got lots of money.
Was that inevitably where it was going to go, or was it still like army
Still up in
versus?
the air.
No, it's still up in the air.
You've got to remember as well, with Mark Antony, from Cleopatra's point of view, you know where you stand with him. He's
Yeah.
too dumb to come up with any schemes or plans.
That's true. That
You know,
is true.
He is what he is. He's a straightforward guy. You waft some wine in front of him, you've golden.
Not of this sort. Did they have a pre-existing relationship because he was so good mates with Caesar?
Well, some sources do suggest that he might have been the father of Caesarion,
Ah,
but they're mostly discredited.
do they walk in a similar way?
I don't know. I mean, he probably had more of a Caesar-like gait than Octavian, who I imagine minced from pillar to post at this point. Sculled about behind his scrolls, going, "Oh, I don't want to look at you."
No. For my 2 cents, party boy Mark.
Party boy Mark.
The other thing I think that you should consider is if he's
Lepidus.
Oh yeah.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was so discounted towards him. Oh, if I can pick Lepidus.
if Antony's already in control of the East, if you want to broaden your horizons and take over more areas in terms of more land and expand Egypt's control and dominance, wouldn't you be better going for someone who's got control of a different area than the one that you're already in control
But
of?
then, if Antony's been given the East, which includes Egypt, is this part of the reason why she does get into bed with him? Because he's there anyway. He's nearby. You may as well not
He's
travel.
likely to be in bed anyway.
Cuts down on the commute.
Yeah. Also, don't bite off more than you can chew.
I just think you could get rid of him. He's having some kind of say in the East. You're then left in ultimate control. And then if you got with Octavian, what you could then do is start to expand your control to another part of the Roman Empire and possibly take parts of that as well.
If only you were an Egyptian queen, Taylor.
Yeah, you're wearing the outfit today. We've only got one. So, long story short, James, you're absolutely right. In the end, Cleopatra decides on Mark Antony.
Good girl.
He's most likely to succumb to her charms. It's geographically convenient that Egypt is in the east of the empire, and fundamentally, as she will find out, you just cannot trust Octavian. He may look like the easy option, he really is not. So there you have it, an ancient history version of Snog, Marry, Avoid. Thank you for listening. We hope this has been helpful. It's a shame you can't see James's beautiful outfit. As always, leave a comment below, and until next time, bye.
Bye.
Bye.